I often hear that we're supposed to meet people right where they are. And you know what? I'm over it. That's it. So I'm here today to really dispel this here. Uh, I often hear you need to meet people where they are. And I was actually in a conversation with a colleague the other day, and she's a high flyer. She literally flies like planes and such. And we were having a conversation around what it's like really stepping up and playing at your next level. Like for me, I'm stepping back into my leadership as a movement leader and really owning all of that. And as we were talking, our discussion had traveled to conversations about Clubhouse and other ways that we can show up kind of strategically and tactically. And in the middle of the conversation, the words, you need to meet them where they are, came up in conversation. And I had like, my shoulders moved to it. I had like an adverse reaction to it. And then later on in the conversation, we were talking, and she's a powerful person, so she brought up her truth. She's like, I hold my clients. I'm like, when I'm showing up like this, like I give them the opportunity to come and meet me up here, and I'm like, literally, what I said was like, I'm confused. Like it was like a frustrated confusion that was coming through me, because I'm like, earlier in the conversation, we talked about we need to go meet people where they are. And then at the same time, it's like, but when I'm showing up powerfully, and the reason that my clients pay me, and the reason that like my clients have massive transformations and are able to get the results that they get, is because I actually hold myself right where I'm supposed to be, and I invite them to come and meet me, and I call out when they don't. And that we ended up talking. We had a good conversation afterwards, and we could see where the nuance was within all that. But that prompted me to come in here and just share and speak and just open a dialogue about this here. I'm really tired of people saying meet people where they are. In my mind, this is what really plays out here, and my part of my commitment in being here, I have many commitments. One of mine is like to make this almost like so preposterous that like in the future I'll come back and be like, I can't believe I said all that. So I just want to make sure I say all that I can right now, and just allow the discomfort to play its part. For me, when people say meet them on their level, you got to meet people on their level. I'm like, I'm a person too. Can they meet me on my level? Like, what's up with that? And there's what I have found, and is that there's almost like a trajectory. It's like it follows. It's like a lead indicator, then a lag indicator. Lead indicator being like these are the things that you do up front, and then the lag indicator is what are the results. And it's almost always like a a continuation, a following of whenever I try and meet people where they are, my business slows down. Like the people who are coming to talk to me slow down. All these things are just the lag indicator is just a lot of slowing down. And it's not even that it gets deeper, it's just slower. Because I can appreciate slowing down and really giving space for something to go much deeper. That I can do. But there's something about the notion of you got to meet people where they are that I'm just finding it's really just not true. Especially if you're working with high flyers in the world out there. Like the elements that are coming out here, and look, I'm not even going to talk about working with other people. Let's just talk about us right now, right? Like what I feel and what I found is that when I'm able to look someone in the eye and hold them exactly to who they know that they could be, there's an element that happens. There's a couple things that happen. One, that people straighten up. There's actually like a physical reaction. They're like, oh, he ain't playing. He's for real. Two, sometimes they'll tell me afterwards, they're like, I feel like you could see me. And that puts them, I'm going to say in my words, puts them on blast, puts them in a chance to like really get confronted with like, hey, by the way, I'm not here to mess around. I see you. I see where you can be. Let's talk to that person. Let's not talk to who you just happen to default into this conversation with, so that you can feel the comfort of being met where you are and not actually challenged and held up to your higher standard that is within you. Instead, let's let's hold our bar high. Let us hold our standards high. Let us hold each other with enough respect and with enough power to really hold each other accountable to ourselves. I say this all the time to my clients. I will never hold you accountable to any task that you put out there. If you need it, like that's just not me. I don't even hold myself accountable to my own tasks, let alone do it for you. But I will hold you accountable to who you are. And a lot of times people I'm like, oh, I say this a little tongue in cheek just to make it a little bit more palatable, but I'll tell them like, oh, you made a mistake. I got to see you. I heard your story. I see your journey. I see the amazing things that you've done. And from that moment on, I know that like I can tell when you're playing or trying to sell me into a version of yourself that's less than who you truly are. The other day I was just in a conversation in one of the programs I'm in, and someone was showing up in less than her power. We had a conversation a couple weeks prior, and in that conversation, I got a chance to hear about just her paradigm, the way that she saw the world, and just how much of a high performer she'd been in various areas of her life. And then we entered into the conversation, and to be honest, like she just wasn't showing up. I'm trying to respect the space of that conversation without going too much further into it all, but she just wasn't showing up. And so for me, I realized that I don't call people out. It's not interesting to me anymore. But I do like to call people into their leadership, into who they are, back into themselves, right? Without having them retreat into themselves. And the sensation I got here was like, hey, my friend, I have to call this in here because, like, I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't line up with who you are. And you showed me who you are. And the thing is, I'm out here playing a game, and the game's at this level now. I love to do this, whatever this level is. Just like it means something psychologically. The game's in this level here right now, and I saw you. And I know that you're a player, but you're not showing up as a player. That's really curious to me. What gives? What ended up happening? I actually felt in that moment, and as the conversation went on, I was like, I actually felt a little uncomfortable throughout it, and that's nowadays I'm leaning into the discomfort. I'm leaning into the discomfort because I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I know that on the other side of my discomfort is like truly serving people. But I did wonder. I'm like, did I go too far? We're in a group setting here. Like, basically, basically what happened was it was like Niam was not impressed. Whatever is showing up here, Niam was like, I'm just not. I'm not working with whatever that is. Like, come in. Yeah, I'm giving. Give it. Like, we can have another try at this here, but like, show up. What was really fun was after that. And look, the idea, the thing about this year, I'll be honest, it was on a selfish level. I'm like, I want to play with you. I want to grow. I want to like be challenged. I want to like play. And you're not showing up in a way that we can play together. And that's not interesting. That's not, I don't want to entertain that because quite frankly, like that just doesn't feel like a fun game anymore. What was really cool was shortly afterwards she went back in and just the straightening took place. The connection with her voice. It wasn't like it went deep, but it was solid. There was a solidity to who she was, and she spoke what she needed to say into the space. It was great, and I'm not gonna lie, I was sweating a little bit in my hands. I'm like because I'm like, did I bring too much right now? All right. Did I bring too much? You know that too much is a statement that I have in my mind. I'm like, was that too intense? Was that holding like was that too much in this moment? And honestly, I was like, did I bring too much masculine energy to this experience here? Like could I have found a way to have held her more gently and then allowed that to like kind of nurture its way through? Because I can play that game too. But in this case here, I was like, no, like I see her. I don't know what she's trying to say. I don't know what's happening, but I see her. The interesting thing is, she sent me a message shortly afterwards, and she was like, I want to know what you see. I want to see myself in this way. She said something to that effect, and we had a conversation the next day, and I was honest with her. I was honest in the sense of like, look, I want to play, and I know what level you play at, and unfortunately for you, anything less than that, I'm gonna call out. I'm gonna call out so we can play at the levels that you already know how to play at, and then take it to places beyond that. And she responded with gratitude, and then she showed up going forward in the program. Right, the very next day, she ended up doing something that she had been told, saying that she was teetering back on the fence about for a while. The very next day, she showed up, and I remember I left there and I was like, this, like, for some reason this feels wrong to let someone know that like I actually see you playing a game much bigger than what you're playing, and like I'm gonna hold you to that. And yet at the same time, had I like it had like she immediately just stepped into herself. We talked about like she just showed up, and now we get to play a completely different game. Now we get to see where we get to go from here. And it just gets to me when people say you got to meet people where they are. What I have found time and time again is that if you actually meet people where they are, or if you actually see people for who they are and hold them accountable to that, like they will gladly reach up and like step into their own power and meet you there. And the number of people that I have a conversation with where that's the case here, that are grateful that I woke them up, that I'm grateful that I saw them. It's when I take the time to get out of like the mainstream version of like what feels safe, what feels comfortable, what feels like people should have, it's quite plentiful. Now, I'm making this video here, and it's cool for me. I'm I don't know. I'm jiving and I'm like jazzing. I don't know I'm riffing, right? But like this is pouring out of me. And I don't want to put this out there as though I myself am not involved in this or guilty of it too. In that same program, I think part of the reason why I'm seeing it and why I'm so sensitive to it in this moment, and when I say sensitive, it means I'm filtering for it. I'm in the midst of this growth pattern myself. And when I'm in a growth pattern, what I notice is that I'm able to notice it out in the world. I'm able to notice it for myself, and because my I think it's called the reticular activation system. Basically, it's the way that your brain filters for information such that might be pertinent or relevant to you right then. My reticular activation system is on. It is on for when people are playing a smaller game than what they know that they can be playing. It's just there. And part of the reason for that is that in the same program, I was working with people in a small group, and they felt my power, and they called me out. Actually, they called me in. And that's when I learned the distinction of being called in versus called out. They called me in. They're like, Niyama, what's going on? You show up, and you show up with all this power, and yet you're playing in this small place. You're having this one-on-one conversation in the corner. You're having this like small group conversation over here in the corner, but you're not like in the present. You're not present in a way that like could really make you can really bring impact to the larger conversation, both within the program, and if it's not happening in the program, I can imagine it's not happening outside in your business, in your life, and beyond. That conversation rattled me, not because I like it because I gotten caught, but it's because because they said we saw you and we wanted to play, and we're disappointed that we haven't gotten a chance to really play with you. Gosh, they didn't meet me where I was. They saw me and they held me accountable to who I was. And they said, you were a player, and now you're sitting on the sidelines. And like that's your choice, but I'm gonna call you into coming to join us once again into this game. Because of that, I've been on a journey for the last, I would say, about a month here of showing up in different ways, both within the program, but it's led to something outside of this. It's led to me reconnecting with my movement. See, I'm the leader of the World Joy Movement. I haven't talked about it publicly in over a year, in just over a year. And we just went through a global pandemic when joy would have been like an amazing thing to have as part of the overall conversation. But it was absent from me because in some ways along the line, I had made some decisions to start playing a little bit smaller, to start meeting people where they are. Oh, the movement's too big. Like talking about joy right now would be uncomfortable. It's the wrong place to go, and all of that, just like a lead and lag indicator, just everything slowed down. And so right now, I'm stepping back into it. And similar to that other conversation, it's not a I'll see you in 6 months and then I'll be up in my power. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, I have the muscle memory. I have this was it somatic memory within me. I know what it's like to step up in this way, and so I do, and I'm playing again, and the opportunities that are coming they're just different than the ones that were coming beforehand. Firstly, they're actually coming. And it's less me going out into the world trying to see what I can create, what I can create. People are reaching out to me to collaborate. They're like, "Hey, can we do something?" And hey, I know you had this resource. Can you share your background on this? Or hey, I have this client that can use your experience and expertise when it comes to these various areas, diversity and inclusion and beyond. Like these things are starting to show up again because I'm starting to show up again. I just want to just like if this is the message that you need to hear today, I'm not here to convince anyone. I'm not here to like I just don't have time for that, right? I just want to remind you if you're one of those people who feel like you have to meet other people at their level and you end up dimming who you are or turning down your lights or removing your shine or whatever it is to like actually come down to play at other people's level. I want to remind you that there is someone out there that is actively looking for you to meet them on their own level. There are people out here who want to play with you. And as I say this, I don't just say this to you. I am also saying it to me, and I recognize that. But there are people and communities and just projects out there that call for the level that you play at already. And if you simply played at that level, those people can see you and then they'll come and meet you. But it's not because they're coming down. They're just like, here goes another person who's playing the game. I recognize them and I want to go and collaborate and create with them as well. If that's the message you need to hear, like I just want to be I want to be one of the people to just say it. You don't need to meet anyone where they are. Invite people to come and meet you where you are because you play a big game. And who you are right now, if you held yourself accountable to that, you would raise the standards and raise the levels of the people around you. And that's what I think most people are afraid of. To actually have to show up. Because if you show up, that means that they would have to show up. And if they had to show up, then they'll have to go through their own personal journey to make sure that they can actually sustain it. And that is one of your gifts to them. So I'm going to leave this here. I think I've said what I needed to say here. Talked about my mistakes. I talked about some of the journey here. Yeah, this feels real for me. I'll end off with this here. Now I'm Niamo Shang. I am the leader of the World Joy Movement. And this is a movement all about taking our differences and celebrating and valuing them. We've seen what happens when we fight against others because of our differences. We call that world war. We see what happens when we aim to tolerate or just accept our differences. I call that world peace. I'm looking for something much higher than that, an elevation of how we can show up as humans as we move into this next era of humanity, right? And for that here, it's about celebrating and valuing our differences. I don't want us to find what we have in common. That bores me. I don't want to see what we have that's the same. It's a message that says anything outside of this is not acceptable. You better get in line. I'm not even looking to hang out with like-minded people because it means that there's a group thing. Like mind and group thing to me are like, are we not hearing the words that we're saying here? You know? I thought it was different minded, but I think I'm just looking for open minded. I spend my time surrounded with open minded people who hold themselves accountable to who they know they can be and what they actually show up in the world to do and what their soul's call it is or what their overall mission is. And so I have a community of people just like this. They're World Joy Trailblazers, and each of them have their own vision and something else that they're standing into. They're playing their own level. They're playing their own game at their level. And we meet each other and we hold ourselves accountable to that. And if you're interested in being a part of that, if you're interested in being in an experience, and like I don't invite people into the group. It's a curated group. The entry, the way I look at it is like the entry level is really high. It's open to anyone, but you got to be ready to hold yourself and others accountable and to give more than you get. And if you're willing to do that, then you can come and be a part of this community. And I have an opportunity where I open the doors every all I know is I'm opening the door this week. You can go and come be our guest. We have a guest experience. I learned this from when I was singing barbershop, where it's like, let's just keep doing what we do and invite people in to come and have an experience of the magic that we create, of the way that we hold each other, of the way that the level that we choose to play, and how we continue to raise up and inspire and intimidate one another. I'm holding a guest experience, and I'd like for you to come to it if this like really calls to you. If you're feeling like I would love to be playing at the level that I know that I can be, then go to niama.com/beourguest. niama.com/beourguest and sign up to come and join one of our upcoming guest experiences. This is like this for me. It's like if this is a good fit, you'll be invited to come and join us in the community afterwards, in our mastermind afterwards, which is the Courage Gym Mastermind. But if not, then like you're still going to have an amazing opportunity meeting some of the most inspiring, most intimidating, most interesting people that I know, and you're going to get a chance to be held accountable to you, should you decide to show up. And this is one of the best parts about it all. how you choose to play this game is the lesson for you. I know with 100% certainty that you will be served because we have set this up in a way that you can't hide. You are here to see you, and we're here to help you to have your own reflection to yourself. So I invite you once again, if you want to come out and really be playing at the level that you know is available to you, whether you know what that level is or not, then go to niyama.com/be our guest and apply for a guest experience within our Courage Gym. And then just come see what we do. Come learn, come experience, come meet these awesome people. And then if it's for you, you can decide to continue on with us. And if not, you've just had a tremendous experience and you can carry that out into the world. Here goes the thing. The world really does need you. The world needs who you are. And I'm inviting you to just let that out and not have to worry about dimming yourself down in order to meet other people where they are. You as you are an inspiration. Live that out loud. Let that shine. And then come shine with us and come have some fun with us inside of the Courage Gym guest experience. All right. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think. My invitation is don't do it from a place of challenging yourself. Where in this might this be true? How might you be able to use this and utilize this in your world? Like, just this is what we do. We're here on a growth journey, and I invite you to come join us. All right, I'm gonna end things off here. I'll catch you later. Remember this: you got this, and we got you. Journey on. Hey, Niyama here. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and then go ahead and leave one of your insights from today's video in the comments below. If you're looking to take this deeper, you can go and watch another video, or you can go to niyama.com/tribe to get exclusive invitation to our tribe member only events. I'll see you soon.